Hi, welcome to Arizona, the next level. I'm Baran Duman.
And I'm Sanne Vandevisser.
Today we're going to see Arizona from many different levels. We go from below the surface of Arizona to soaring above ground level, going up towards the state's highest point as we discover the beauty and uniqueness that northern Arizona has to offer.
Arizona has a diverse landscape. Humphreys Peak is the highest point at 13,000 feet, which is almost 4 kilometers, whereas the Colorado River runs at sea level. We'll explore this landscape from 4 different perspectives. We started this show by going underground. Then we'll move up to ground level to observe the landscape and the historic traces that the Native Americans left behind. After that we go to the highest point in Arizona to finish our journey with a beautiful view from the sky.
First, let's experience northern Arizona from an underground perspective. Our reporter, Marieke Weitkamp, takes us to one of the state's oldest mines, the Gold King mine.
Hi there, today I'm visiting the mining town of Jerome. So if you are in for some underground experience, Arizona will be the place for you. You have the lava tubes, the Grand Canyon caverns and many more. Today I'm standing in front of the Gold King mine. So let's go and check it out. Jerome, famous for its extensive mining, is a town where people have been going underground for decades. One such place is the Gold King mine, which started out in 1819 and was active until 1940. Gold King mine worker Mike Russo tells us more about mining in Jerome.
I suppose they found gold just by lots of hard work and exploration. They were looking for copper, but they continued to dig, and finally they found a small gold vein. Surprise, jackpot.
Jackpot indeed. The deposit discovered in Jerome were one of the richest ever, but everything comes with a price.
The conditions in the mine would have been absolutely terrifying, to be honest with you. It would have been very hot, very unstable ground. We actually lost one miner average per day for 80 years, which is over 15,000 men.
Almost all mines closed, and many of Jerome's inhabitants left to find their luck elsewhere. The population went from 15,000 to only around 450 today.
The mine closed because they just simply ran out of gold. The last time someone entered our mine here for mining purposes was 1914. We had it open to the public until 2 years ago as a tour.
Close to the Gold King mine is Jerome State Historic Park. When the ore deposit gave out, Jerome became a ghost town. But in the 1960s, tourism devoted largely to the old towns of the West revitalized Jerome. Park Ranger Wes Yeager explains why the mines in Jerome were so important.
Investing, also the wars did have a large impact in Jerome. World War I and World War II did generate a lot of interest for copper mining for the war effort.
Jerome is even named after one of its investors.
The town of Jerome is named after Eugene Murray Jerome. He was a New York financier who put together the financing for the mining company, and in honor of coming up with the money, they decided to name the town after him.
Jerome had 2 large mines, the United 30 and the United 30 Extension Mine, known as the Little Daisy. The United 30 is famous for its open pit mining. Fire was encountered and the pit was filled with smoke from the burning ore.
The reason for the open pit was because they had an underground fire that had started underground. These are massive sulfide ore deposits, and the rock actually does burn.
During this time of the season, it can be up to 90 degrees, so it will be a smart idea to cool off a bit. One of the best places in Flagstaff to do that are the lava tubes. So let's go and check it out. It takes some effort to get to the lava tubes, and the fact that the roads aren't even paved makes it even more adventurous. Right behind me are the lava tubes, sometimes called the ice caves. Though before you get in, don't forget to check your outfit because it's quite cold in there. I'm wearing some warm clothing because of that. I'm wearing a helmet because of the rocky ceiling, and I'm wearing some sturdy shoes because of the lava floor. And of course, your flashlight because it's dark in there. So I'm ready, let's go inside. Lava tube caves are found throughout the world, at places where liquid lava has flown over the surface. The upper layer begins to cool and the lava continues to flow in the tubular pipes beneath the surface. The one near Flagstaff was discovered in the early 1900s by the lumberjacks. After they discovered it, they used it to refrigerate their food and drinks. The lava tube caves are over half a mile long and the coolest place in the cave is 35 degrees at its highest. So it's a nice place to cool down and enjoy the quiet. So if you happen to be in Arizona, going underground might be a great experience. For Arizona the next level, I'm Marieke Weitkamp.
Wow, it looks like Marieke had quite an experience down there. I didn't know Jerome was once such a big city. Interesting how an entire town could grow so rapidly. Baran, you went there as well, right?
Yeah, I did. Jerome is an authentic mining town with a rich history. Unfortunately, you cannot go into the mines because it's too dangerous.
Well, it sounds like they've always been dangerous. And what about the lava tubes?
Well, the lava tubes are something I would definitely recommend. It shows Arizona from another perspective. During the summer, it's about 45 degrees Fahrenheit down there. Most people wouldn't expect to find a place like that here in Arizona.
Now that we've visited the underground of northern Arizona, let's continue to the next level, above ground. Mountains, lakes, canyons and forests, it's safe to say that Arizona has a very diverse landscape.
We have probably all heard of the famous Grand Canyon and Monument Valley, but there are plenty of other exciting places where we can go for some outstanding sightseeing. For example, Meteor Crater, Tuzi Good and Montezuma Castle. Our reporter Nathalie Pijls gives you some insight on Montezuma Castle, built by the Sanawa people.
We're standing at Montezuma Castle National Park here in Verde Valley. This is where Native Americans built their cliff dwellings more than 800 years ago. Why don't we have a look around and see if we can learn more about a beautiful piece of Native American history.
Montezuma Castle was built by the Sanawa people on the cliff of Beaver Creek Canyon. It has 5 stories and almost 20 separate rooms. Archaeologists reconstructed some parts, but more than 90% of the building is still in the state it was 800 years ago. This is even more remarkable if you consider that the tools used to build this house were made out of stone and wood. You could think that the castle was built up there for protection, but Park Ranger Michael McGrady thinks otherwise.
The more I read about this stuff and the more I talk to the experts about this, about Montezuma Castle, the less I think that this was built up there for a defensive purpose. There's just not a lot of evidence around here for violence on skeletons.
The real reason might be that the Sanawa wanted to use most of the ground for farming and not for a big house. The Sanawa people lived here for 300 years and farming was their way to survive. They had crops where they planted corn, beans, squash and cotton.
The name Sanawa means without water in Spanish, but these people found a way to live in this climate by finding the water. The 2 main sources were Beaver Creek, which is right next to me, and Montezuma Well, where we are going next.
Montezuma Well is 10 miles away from the castle, which is 17 kilometers. Once you've reached the top of the stairs, you have an amazing view of this desert oasis. Every day, more than 1 million gallons of warm water flow into the well. The water contains a lot of carbon dioxide, which makes it impossible for fish to live there. But the well was still important to the Sanawa, although they couldn't fish here. The water flows via a tunnel into Beaver Creek and brings it straight to Montezuma Castle. Park Ranger Greg Webb says that although Native Americans don't live here anymore, Montezuma Well is still a sacred place to them.
So I think what's most interesting about Montezuma Well is that it's not just an archaeological site, a historical site. It's a place that's special to peoples in the Southwest today. There are still native people such as the Hopi and Yavapai who come back to these places. And that really makes it a place that connects both history and the present in a really meaningful way.
The well gave people water, food and life in this dry landscape. There is proof that people have lived here for more than 1,000 years. You can still see the remains of the place they once called home.
Now that we've seen this historical place, there's only one question left. Why did the Sanawa people leave the area where they seem to have it all? There are many theories, but none of them are certain. But what we do know is that they left behind something beautiful. For Arizona The Next Level, I'm Nathalie Pijls.
Wow, I knew there were old ruins here, but not that old.
It's amazing that the castle is still standing after 800 years. Typical homes wouldn't last that long.
Well, they were built out of stone and they were built strong.
Yeah, the wide range of views is what makes Arizona so unique. But Arizona wouldn't be Arizona if we couldn't go up another level.
We've seen Montezuma Castle on ground level. Now let's take it up to a higher altitude. I'm guessing we're going up to the mountains?
That's right, Arizona has lots of mountains, but the one we're about to see is quite special. Our reporter on the Moeskops tells us why.
Hi there! Today we'll take you to the highest point of the state Arizona. We're going to discover the San Francisco Peaks and the different ways of climbing this volcanic mountain range. The San Francisco Peaks are a perfect playground for the adventurous outdoors person. The peaks have 4 campgrounds, 2 dozen hiking trails and 4 wilderness areas. In autumn and winter, the mountains are a popular ski area. The peaks provide an incredible place for campers, hunters and cyclists in the remaining seasons. Cyclist Thomas Pusey says the San Francisco Peaks are valuable for training.
I like training on the San Francisco Peaks primarily for the altitude, the elevation. I just moved here from Hawaii, and most of Hawaii is at sea level, and there's a huge advantage at training with training at altitude. And so I moved here for that reason. It's beautiful. This climb up to Snowball, it's a great climb. It's about 2,500 feet of elevation and over about 6 miles, and yeah, so it just gives you a huge advantage to be able to train at this altitude.
Not only cycling, also hiking on the peaks improves your condition. Hiking is the most popular sport done there. It is described as distance walking for exercise or pleasure. Hiking allows you to become one with nature. Hiker James Moses says there are several tips all beginning hikers should know.
Well, for this particular trail at Humphreys Peak, it's about a 10-mile back up and down. So, and the difference in the weather, what's happening down here, what's happening at the top can be a totally different thing. So, for this particular trail, always make sure you're wearing, or you have plenty of clothes and plenty of water, and don't underestimate what the weather can do.
The word hiking first came into use around 1800. It is probably derived from the verb hitch. Hiking is one of the easiest and least expensive ways to get exercise. Another cool but less sporty way to go up the mountain is to use a sky ride. This sky ride takes you to an elevation of 12,000 feet, which is almost 4 kilometers high. From this elevation you can see northern Arizona, including downtown Flagstaff and the Grand Canyon. The sky ride is the perfect opportunity for you to enjoy the San Francisco Peaks as relaxed as possible. The San Francisco Peaks are the remains of a volcano, formed between 200,000 and 2.5 million years ago. The peaks serve as one of the most distinct geological features of the Colorado Plateau, with Humphreys Peak as the highest at almost 13,000 feet. In the 17th century, Franciscans gave the name San Francisco to the peaks in honor of St. Francis of Assisi. He was the founder of their order. Ranger Charlene Stone explains why the San Francisco Peaks are unique.
Well, this is not your typical mountain. It's a mountain created from a volcano. And to get to be this elevation of over 12,000 feet, it had to erupt for over 2 million years, off and on.
Ranger Stone also mentions how nature has changed.
This would have been more of a desert area, and now it's an area where people come, it's cool, people get to ski in the winter, and it's pretty amazing that it's here in the desert.
Today we found out several different ways to ascend the San Francisco Peaks. The intensive hike really pays off with this beautiful view. What a great experience! For Arizona the Next Level, I am Anna Moeskops.
So Sanne, you visited the San Francisco Peaks. What do you think of it?
Well, the view on top of the mountain is spectacular. It was definitely worth the climb. I admire those hikers that go up there every week.
So what about our final level? What's even higher than the mountains?
The sky, of course. Our reporter Cheryl Chung takes us on a flight above the famous Red Rocks of Sedona, one of Arizona's most popular natural wonders.
Hi there. Right now we're at Sedona, famous for its breathtaking landscapes with the impressive red-colored rocks. We're going to take a look at it all and see for ourselves the amazing views that Sedona has to offer. And what better view is there than one from up above? Let's go check it out.
What you're looking at right now is the result of about 350 million years of the elements at work. The red rocks were created by 2 continental plates colliding. One of the plates went under the other, which uplifted the other plate. From that moment on, time and weather transformed the rocks to their current state. Slowly but steadily, this created the high peaks, with Thunder Mountain as the highest one. Thunder Mountain reaches up to almost 6,500 feet.
The red rocks owe their name to the iron oxide they contain, also known as rust. This gives them a unique red color. The color creates a nice contrast with the green you can find here. The landscape basically takes care of itself. Forces like wind and rain are the only influence on the landscape's appearance, besides the few human footprints left on the hiking trails. This is quite exceptional given the fact that Sedona's red rocks attract about 3 to 4 million visitors every year, with the summer season being the peak season. Tour guide Michelle Shaheen tells us more about threats you may come across as a visitor.
You know, there are wild animals here. They don't really bother us. They don't want anything to do with us any more than we want them to have anything to do with us. They're there, but the biggest threat is really dehydration. People not, and it's so beautiful here. They figure we're already this far, why would we want to turn around and take care of ourselves? Just 4 more steps or, you know, a little bit longer, and they push themselves to see the beauty around them and they get in trouble.
So if you want to keep enjoying the beauty of the red rocks for the entire time you're here, be sure to bring lots of water and salty foods, because this part of Arizona is most definitely not something you want to miss out on. There are many different ways to travel the skies, such as a tour by hot air balloon or a ride in a biplane. Today, however, we're going to go to great heights and fly over Sedona in an open-door helicopter. For about 15 minutes, our feet will be off the ground as we fly over the rocky landscape of Sedona. The tour we're taking today is the Red Rock Roundup, provided by Arizona Helicopter Adventures. This tour takes us past some of the most famous rock formations in Sedona. These include Snoopy Rock, Bell Rock, the impressive Cathedral Rock, and much more. These sights will surely take your breath away. So let's go up and leave the ground below. So now we know all about these red rocks and have seen them from a unique perspective. For Arizona the Next Level, I'm Cheryl Wong.
That looked amazing. Have you ever been on a helicopter flight before?
Unfortunately not, but after those spectacular views we saw today, I definitely want to.
Yeah, today we really learned a lot about northern Arizona and all its different levels. The mines of Jerome, the lava tubes, Montezuma Castle, the San Francisco peaks, and a helicopter ride over Sedona. We've seen the Gold King mine, we got to see what the Native Americans left behind, we learned how the highest mountain in Arizona was formed and what the red rocks look like from above.
We hope you enjoyed our journey. We certainly did. If you'd like to know more about our show, you can visit our website at www.arizonaexperience.wordpress.com. Thank you for joining us. For Arizona the Next Level, I'm Baran Duman.
And I'm Sanne Vandevisser.